Members of the United States House of Representatives are elected every 2 years, and members of the United States Senate are elected every 6 years. The Senate is divided into 3 groups, with one of the groups up for re-election every 2 years. Unlike presidential elections, congressional elections are often not very competitive, and an incumbent, the person who currently holds the seat, is usually re-elected. For members who seek re-election to the House, they typically win 90 to 95% of the time, while in the Senate, they usually win 80% of the time or even higher in some election cycles. Incumbents have many advantages over their challengers. They already have experience in running a successful campaign and can point to specific projects they supported that benefited the people in their districts. They also have name recognition, more access to the media than challengers, and a fundraising network with past donors they can turn to. Incumbents usually receive the support of their party's Congressional Campaign Committee, which can result in appearances with popular figures in the party, and most importantly, additional funds they can use for their campaigns. Furthermore, they have an established congressional staff and contacts with voters in their district. When congressional elections are hotly contested, it is usually because there is an open seat, or less frequently a wave election in which national public sentiment is running heavily for or against a party. In open seats, when an incumbent resigns, dies, or chooses not to seek re-election, both parties will strive to win the seat. Although even in open seats, one party might not mount a strong challenge if the other party has a history of winning the district by a large margin. The number of open seats in any given election year is usually a small proportion of total congressional seats. Members of the House of Representatives are elected from what are called single-member districts. That is, the constituents in each district elect one individual to represent them. By contrast, senators are elected by a statewide vote, and thus each senator represents the entire state. States with only one member of the House of Representatives have only one statewide House district. How congressional district maps are drawn contributes to the lack of competitiveness in House elections. The boundaries of congressional districts are redrawn every 10 years after each national census. Some states gain or lose seats in Congress because of population changes, a process known as reapportionment. States then undertake the drawing of new geographic boundaries for House seats, a process known as redistricting. Districts must have approximately equal populations. State governments determine the process for drawing district boundaries, and in most states, the state legislature and governor decide these lines. But in other states, the process is handled by a bipartisan commission. When politicians are charged with drawing district boundaries, the party in the majority is likely to use this to its advantage by drawing district boundaries that give it the chance to dominate the congressional delegation. This process of drawing district boundaries for partisan advantage is known as gerrymandering. In the early 19th century, Governor Elbridge Gerry of Massachusetts drew a congressional district to favor his political party that looked like a salamander. Gerry's salamander gave rise to the term gerrymander. Gerrymandering can be accomplished by following either packing or cracking strategies. In packing, district lines are drawn to concentrate members of a particular party in one district to allow supporters of the other party to win neighboring ones. In cracking, lines are drawn to split members of a particular group so they will not constitute a majority in a specific district. This manipulation is possible because Democrats are more likely to live in certain areas than Republicans in other areas, making it possible to divide one or the other party's voters. District lines have sometimes been challenged in court. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled against district lines drawn to minimize the electoral power of minority groups, a practice called racial gerrymandering. The court has been less likely to set a solid legal precedent which would oppose districts drawn on a partisan basis. At the state level, sometimes courts have overturned district boundaries. For example, after the 2010 census, Pennsylvania Republicans drew district lines that favored their party. and won victories in 13 of 18 House districts in the 2016 elections, while Democrats won only 5 of the 18 House seats, despite the fact that Democratic candidates won just over 50% of the votes cast. The Pennsylvania League of Women Voters sued, charging that the boundaries violated the state's constitution's guarantee of free and equal elections. Critics pointed particularly to Pennsylvania District 7, which was sometimes referred to as looking like Goofy kicking Donald Duck. The state Supreme Court agreed, and after Republicans in the state House failed to redraw the map, the state Supreme Court redrew the map itself. The resulting boundaries had many fewer contortions than the original map.